Good evening, good evening. Ow. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and as we're a little late because it's Sunday, we're going to do a quick one today. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do, the usual disclaimers. To the article op-ed that was taken out in the Wall Street Journal that we're going to go over today. You're going to see that right there in the description box alongside the other links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, the 10 plates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. For this particular series, we are doing trigger warning. You are going to hear some gaslighting. You're going to hear some mockery. And you're going to see a lot of the downright awful trollery that us advocates against this place have been putting up for over a decade. Some of us well over 20 to 30 years. And folks, when we talk about the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of, you catch clips of surveillance footage of peoples with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you've got young children present, please use your headphones. And yes, I'm going to have to get close, folks. You're going to have to see my ugly mug today because this is real tiny type. Okay. Though they have never met my son David and have no information about his specific diagnosis or care, bureaucrats at the Food and Drug Administration are endangering his life by proposing to stop the one treatment that has allowed him to lead a happy life that includes learning, socializing, and having loving relationships with his family. These people have obviously drank the Kool-Aid. I'm going to try really hard to get myself ready because I know it's coming to not get triggered. But let's break this down. I think it is the parent here who doesn't understand. They don't want to understand, folks. They want to believe that their kids are happy, that the treatment is working, and it's this miracle cure that's going to stop the behaviors and everybody living their happy lives. Because if they have to face the truth, I'm talking mainly about the parents who put their kids here purposely. If they have to face the truth like Cheryl McCollins did, then they're going to have to accept the fact that they participated in, intentionally or not, the torture and abuse of their child for years. They want to believe the JRC's picture that they paint so badly that those kids will get left in there for years, and we never learn what actually happens to them until they're out of there and feel comfortable enough to talk. They want to believe they're happy. They want to believe the fake smiles the JRC forces out of those kids because they don't want to face the alternative. So, moving on. David is one of a small percentage of individuals with autism and mental disabilities who engages in life-threatening, self-injurious behaviors. Small percentage, dude. I'm already just throwing his opinion out the window because self-injurious behaviors is an across-the-board thing, especially during meltdowns. But I'm going to take your word for it, right? Including shoving his hands down his throat and banging his head with such force as to permanently damage his ear. For the past 10 years, he has been dissuaded from such activity by means of an abundance of rewards if he controls his self-harming behavior and an unpleasant but harmless 2-second skin shock via electronic stimulus device or ESD if he attempts self-injury. Again, I'll state it again. They do not know everything that the JRC uses that device for. They have no idea how actually painful it is, even when confronted with the Andre McCollins video. Anyone who sees that video knows that's no bee sting. But I think it's a willful ignorance on the parents' part. They want to have this blissful ignorance because accepting the alternative is beyond horrifying. But moving on. While the device has been used effectively for many years with individuals like David at the Judge Rotenberg Center, a residential special needs school in Canton, Mass., the FDA is trying to ban it at the behest of ideologically driven advocacy groups such as the Disability Law Center in Massachusetts, whose executive director calls the therapy horrible torture. Again, you're going to get a lot of dissimulation here. You notice he calls it advocates. It's our fault, right? For having a shred of humanity. What he doesn't tell you is that we've been backed up by specialists in torture. Yes, I'm talking about 2 special rapporteurs on torture, those whose job it is to make sure that countries are following the Geneva Code, who are well versed in war crimes, have caused what happens at this center torture. But they're going to try to tell you it's all us and we're uninformed and we don't know and we're stupid and we should sit down, shut up, and be good little disabled people. Yes, when you get them angry, when you try to argue facts, kind of like with stands, these people are no different. They are no different. Amazingly, the FDA says similar therapy is allowable if used to deter cigarette smoking. Again, they're passing the buck, folks. But moving on. Denial to my son is justified on the grounds that he doesn't have the same ability as smokers to decide whether or not to receive the aversive treatment. But your son doesn't get to decide. You decided and took that right away from him. If your son walked into that place, signed himself in, and then strapped that thing on him willingly, maybe I would believe you. But that's not the reality of the JRC. They are sent in by courts and school systems and desperate parents because the medical model has fucked them so 6 ways from Sunday that this place convinces them that they're the only answer, with never even knowing how to search for another answer, because they're out there and there were results. Again, parents, if you want to come at me, I've worked in the field. You cannot sit there and tell me that I do not understand. I'm not like your child when I have actually worked in the field. Moving on. But that specious argument could be used to ban all medical treatments for people with intellectual disabilities for any condition whatsoever. That's an overreach, folks. This is what we see from all the time. That is a major overreach. It is literally telling you you cannot torture the kid with that device. That's it. It's not talking about interfering with medication or any other treatment out there that is fucking logical. But moving on. It is standard practice to give people like David the same treatment others would receive as long as the consent of the parents and the guardians is obtained. Again, under false pretenses. You have bought what they're selling you. What you don't see is them strapping your son down to a 4-point board and shocking him over 30 times at a freaking milliamps just below the lethal limit. As further protection, all ESD treatments at David's school must be approved by probate judge. Again, we don't want the FDA, who is housed by doctors, therapists, psychologists, what have you. We would rather trust a county probate judge who has no medical degree, no medical training whatsoever. It is the most absurd thing in the world for a parent to trust a judge over a doctor for treatment. Can I say that again for the people in the back? It is insane if you trust a judge over a doctor with a medical degree with your child's treatment. What is in your head? This is your child. And you are okay for them being tortured, starved, sleep deprived, attacked anywhere at any time. Moving on. Further, David receives abundance of rewards for controlling his behavior, and he's under constant supervision of a dedicated caring team. No, they're not. Just saying. And giving rewards to stick and carrot is one of the most fucking condescending things that they do to autistic people. When I'm fucking 21, if I'm stuck in that hellhole, I want to be treated like I'm fucking 21. Okay? I don't want to get a fucking cookie because you've traumatized me to the point that I don't react when somebody's getting shocked next to me, all right? I'm glad we got that out there. The FDA proposal ignores that decision. The FDA proposal is proposing that judges have no fucking place to determine medical care. Just saying. The FDA claims that the alternative treatments are available. It is wrong. They are, though. They really are. What I will give this parent is that in a lot of areas, especially poor minority areas, the places are not available, and that really needs to fucking change. We desperate parents should not have to send these kids to this fucking place because there's nowhere else to go. Just saying. After trying other institutions and therapies, including the drugs Amarillo, Thorazine, Haldol, Ritalin, and Notec, David in 1988 entered the highly regarded neurobehavioral unit at the Kennedy Krieger Institute that specializes in the treatment of self-injurious behaviors. So here we go again. We tried everything. You tried all the bullshit the medical model has crammed down your throat since the fucking 80s. You tried the school system. Don't shed a shitter here. Did you actually try reasonable accommodations? Did you ever try to find out what's causing the behavior? And don't fucking give me your bullshit about they can't talk, they can't communicate, he can't tell us what's wrong. It's garbage, it's a fucking excuse, and you parents goddamn know it. These kids can learn to sign. They can use electronic devices to communicate. I know because I used to help assist in writing fucking grants so that people with autism or nonverbal have access to them. So, fuck you very much. Moving on. Specialists explore a wide variety of treatment protocols, including various drug therapies. After 4 months, the center's experts, finding no alternative, agreed that the placement at the Judge Rotenberg Center was the best option for David. Again, notice they did nothing to find out what's triggering the behaviors. Nada. Zilch. Nada. Nope. These people don't care what's causing our suffering. They just want us to behave and be normal. Can I say it again for the people in back? Let me tell you again. They don't fucking care what's causing the behaviors. The fact that we could be in immense pain or suffering terribly mentally. All they care about is that the behaviors that embarrass them or make them uncomfortable will stop. That's it and that's all. Self-injurious behaviors don't fucking come out of nowhere. There is a trigger. Due diligence and logic would state that a team would then seek to find out what causes those triggers and then work from there. But they don't. They'd rather them stick them in hell like the JRC. The use of psychotropic drugs also poses multiple risks in physical and psychological side effects. So does being at the JRC. By contrast, skin shocks have no demonstrated side effects beyond a temporary redness to the skin that usually disappears within minutes. Again, telling this dude has no idea what this device actually does. It has caused third-degree burns. There was one girl who was shocked to the point that she constantly has a tweak in that leg and has lost feeling. And you cannot sit there and tell me, you cannot watch that video with Andre McCollins and tell me there's no harm. You have a boy screaming. Just saying. The FDA also asserts that skin shock constitutes physical and psychological harm. Yes. My wife and I have both experienced an ASD application. The experience is disagreeable, but not nearly as painful as a paper cut to the finger. Let me say it again. They never put it on the highest setting for the parents to experience. And remember, we've had undercover reporters go in to prove that very fact. Nor have we detected any sign of psychological damage to our son. Oh, you mean him suddenly behaving and acting damn near catatonic? Just saying. Quite the contrary. David loves to visit his family, and he's not less happy to return his friends and the residence where he lives. You sure? Before arriving at his special needs school, here we fucking go. David's attempts at self-injury were continuous unless he was physically constrained. Today he's in excellent health and he has made strike gains in his sociability and curiosity and ability to carry out basic self-care. You mean the same kind of self-care that they watch them do while they're in the room with them? He participates in community events and visits his family once a month. His attempts at self-injury average once a week, a low level he has sustained for the last several years. Our son, who is now 45 years old, is enjoying a quality of life that my wife and I did not believe was possible before he had access to this treatment. The FDA's proposal would place his health and life at risk. The alternative treatment plan for him is physical restraints and mind-numbing drugs. For the sake of our son and others like him who have benefited from the electronic device, the FDA must withdraw its proposed regulation. This dude has drunken the Kool-Aid. You could see that. You could see that very clearly. And they come off as reasonable. But if you've worked in the field, ladies and gentlemen, the deceptions, the lies, they're real easy for me to see and pick apart. But we're going to see a lot of media flooded with this bullshit, at least the ones who give a damn enough to cover it. And I'm going to close out on that note. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject, and the few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. Do appreciate your time this afternoon, and as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.